Welcome to another episode of Unsealed. I am your host, Brian J. And to my right, of course, I have the lovely
co-host Latoya Clark.
That's right. And today we are joined by a very special guest, Miss
Paula Scott-Blackwood.
No, hold on, wait, pause. I almost said Mrs.
Mrs.
It
That's
is
Mrs.
correct.
See, I should have just stuck with my first mind. Right? Mrs. Listen, and sidebar guest, okay? But no, sometimes women take offense to, and this is totally left field, but women take offense to like whether you get the Miss or Mrs. correct.
Yeah.
Am I right?
That's valid.
Exactly. So I didn't want to offend.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Boom. There we go.
Look at you trying to score points at the first guess. Like, I don't even know where we're going with this. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely a sidebar. Okay, so Mrs. Paula Scott-Blackwood.
Yes.
Oh, look at you.
Boom. I had to get it right.
Okay, cool.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We
It's a
greatly
pleasure.
appreciate it. It's Women's History Month.
Yeah.
Women History Month. We are here together to collaborate. We're all unified in our blue colors here.
Wow.
We're all unified with our glasses.
Just for this episode.
We couldn't let Miss Paula Scott come on, but just with hers, we had to like show up. So shout out to all those ophthalmologists out there.
Hey.
Is it an
Keeping you in
ophthalmologist?
business.
Is it?
Is it an ophthalmologist?
Yeah.
Optometrist?
Optometrist. Eye doctor.
Wherever you buy your spectacles from.
Wow. Yikes.
Okay, you had to catch that.
I may need to look at some more resumes for the co-host. We're hiring.
Well,
All
if
right.
you can't be a co-host and have jokes, what can I say?
That's right. Okay,
Yes.
you're right. Okay, let's get serious for a moment. Okay,
All right.
We have a guest here. Let's act a little civilized.
Okay.
All right. Sorry you had to see that side of us.
It's fine.
So do you want to hop right in? Do you want to go first? Should I? We have a lot of questions for you, by the way. I hope you're
It's okay.
ready.
I'm prepared.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So, Miss Paula Scott, you have an experienced career that has spanned over 20 years in public and private sector. Tell us, how did you get in that field?
Well, in the public and nonprofit sector, my first opportunity in the nonprofit role was with Urban League of Broward County. And that came from just my longing to always help people. And I also had a criminal justice degree, so there's not much that I could do with it unless I wanted to be a cop, which I didn't. So it helped because it was a human
shout out
services.
Wow.
To the degree
Against that, but my bachelor's was in criminal justice. So, thankful to the Urban League of Broward County for giving me my first opportunity. So this was way back, dating myself, of course, but I took a role as mentor connection specialist. And this, I work with Department of Education with matching mentees with mentors in the community. This was tailored to students with various barriers, and they were in middle school. So that was, I had a longing then for helping, and it was just natural for me to help. I'd seen my mother as a teacher as well, so I think that also, geared me towards that, helping, especially with helping students. So that was my initial entry into public service.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now that you have started your career in the public service, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are, what it is you do today.
Okay. So, mentioning Urban League of Broward County being my first role, I actually worked as a career counselor after doing the Mentor Connection program. It was a success. So I was promoted to being a career counselor. And there I worked with Workforce One, which is now Career Source Broward. And I was getting a lot of students were coming into my office. They were like 15, 16. And they were telling me, they were trying to find jobs, right? But they were dropping out of high school. They were telling me that their counselors were telling them to drop out without any alternatives. Back then, Broward County, this was about 2002-ish, Broward County was labeled as a dropout factory. And I was,
that.
yeah.
Right? Isn't
But
that
now
crazy?
it's an A district, so yay.
Yay,
A lot of
Broward
work
County.
done.
Yes.
But speaking with these students, I knew then that I had to do something
Yeah.
about that. So I did find pleasure in being a career counselor, but I knew that I could do more. So fast forward, I got my master's, and I had the opportunity to work with the state,
Ooh,
state
what did you
of
get your
Florida,
master's in?
in public administration.
Okay.
Yes, and that was intentional because I wanted to do law, but it just didn't happen. Started having children and put the children before, and I wasn't willing to move, and it was just better to just stick with public administration. No
Okay.
regrets. So again, after getting my master's, I took an opportunity with the state, but I still had that longing to work with youth. I did it. I kind of, it was a very good position, and actually got promoted within like the first 6 months working with the state. I worked then with the budget and such. It was pretty boring, pretty mundane, but then I had an opportunity becoming a transit coordinator. So then I worked with like Broward County Transit and helping with the funding with grants and such. So I learned a lot in that position. But I want to tell you, there was one moment when I was traveling back from a meeting. It's the position that I had. We actually we actually worked with 5 counties within the state, and I was traveling, I believe, from St. Lucie, and it was such a brief meeting. It was like 15-minute meeting, but I had to travel there because I represented the state. And I was traveling back on the turnpike, and I got into a crash. There happened to be a tire in the road, and I saw it, and I tried to avoid it. So I swerved, and I hit the median, but the person behind me actually tried to go over it, and it caused like a 5-car pileup.
Wow.
But again, back then I was kind of like always wanting to start my own nonprofit, and I was working on this behind the scenes, but I just wasn't ready yet. But after having that crash, it's like God said to me, now. And I wasn't quite ready then, but, was rescued. Thankfully, I wasn't hurt, but the car was totaled. Again, it was frightful, especially working for the state. You work on the roads, and you're supposed to ensure to help that it's safe, but it wasn't safe. So fast forward, got back to the office and everything, was petrified, but still, all right, I have a job to do. So I want to say the next week I was heading to a similar meeting, but in Broward County. And the car that I took, back then we took the state cars. The car just stopped right on Broward Boulevard, just stopped. No reason. I didn't know why. Up to this day, I don't know why it stopped. And I called my boss and I said, you know what? This is it. I can't do this anymore. And again, I was working on behind the scenes, kind of like setting up my office, but I wasn't ready yet because, the state is a stable paycheck. I didn't have any grants as yet, but I had this vision, and I actually incorporated PS Youth Outreach Center. And I happened to, the location that I found that I was working on behind the scenes was right next to a school. But still, I didn't have any grants or anything. I gave my resignation notice. I got the support from my boss. He actually gave me my first, my set to say, all right, good luck. He gave me my first $100 donation as well.
Wow.
So he funded your side hustle?
Well, it
Became your main
wasn't
hustle?
a side hustle. It was more like a mission and a passion that I had to serve.
Okay.
Again, so the whole premise behind PS Youth Outreach Center was...
Tell us what PSU is.
Yeah, so it's a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, founded in 2007. And the mission was to help students, like the ones who were coming in the office and needed alternative services, whether it's tutoring, whether it's life skills, career development, on a one-on-one level. So I ended up, again, situating, and my then husband, he worked for a moving company, and my office was fully furnished, all donated.
Ooh.
That was God.
Yes.
I had my first, after being set up, my first student who walked through my door was a Haitian immigrant. He was didn't speak much English. I'm Jamaican myself. But he spoke Creole, but he needed to get into, he was trying to get into college, and he needed to pass the basic skills test. So I had him there, and he would come to the center, and, He was my first success story because he got in. I helped him with getting his information from Haiti and helped him. And to this day, he'll call me and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," or if he is going through anything, and even through college, as he needed to write papers and such.
Right.
I'd use a translator back then. Now we have AI to help with all that.
Of course.
So is that your most accomplished student studist?
Well, we have many over the years, but I would say he's, being the first one to walk through the door
Right.
and actually having no grant funding and just just doing this from my heart. It took a lot of strength. It took a lot of belief in God. But I would say after months kind of sitting there all right, what am I doing? Luckily there was a school next door, but I had to make sure that the services that I was providing would cater to the students there.
Right.
So I happened to have a tutor who was on the same block, if you will, and she walked over and she was asking me, "Are you hiring tutors?" And I'm like, "No, I'm kind of looking for work myself to make sure that we can pay our bills."
Now,
And then-
I'm looking as well. We're both looking for jobs.
And then she
Where do I
said,
go?
And then she said to me, "Well, have you heard of the Supplemental Educational Services Program?" And I was like, "No, but now I do." And I Googled and I looked it up. It so happened that this program is it was 1 week shy of the window for it to be, for the due date for this contract. Luckily, they had some some samples of prior successful contracts. So I looked at it using my knowledge from the state with contracting and such. And I looked at that and formulated a program. And we were successful in actually getting a contract with the School Board of Broward County and
Ooh.
Department of Education.
That's nice.
And that was a big win. But if that lady, if she hadn't come in the office then, I wouldn't have known about that. And that was God.
So
Again,
wait, she came looking for
looking for a
something.
job.
And then you
told
end
me
up-
about the
Oh,
program.
isn't that good?
And then
God.
Yeah.
I told you, we were situated right next to a school. So I, of course, formed a bond with the counselor there, and most of my students came from that elementary school.
Oh, wow.
And we operated that program with the Supplemental Education Services for 6 years, getting an A+ rating from Department of Education consecutively.
Ooh, nice.
And started an after-school program, and it was a success. And to date, that's my most, and that's probably one of your questions to come, but that's one of my biggest accomplishments. And I think just following God and just being faithful in what He told me to do and wanted me to do at that precise moment, as scary as it was. And, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my mother, my godmother, and all the people who helped me, even with running the front desk and, the community that
So then
rallied around it.
Let's pause there. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Take this moment to really walk everyone through what it took for you to get off of the ground, that business, how it went from your mind and idea into what it is today.
Yes.
Tell us about that process.
Well, it took believing in that mission, having a sound mission, and it wasn't about myself. It was about serving the community. I saw the need, and I tell you, partnerships, it means so much, especially when you're doing something in the community, whether it's politicians, whether it's just other community leaders, school leaders. So I think what worked for me is just having that spirit of, I don't know everything. I'm willing to learn. With the contract, I was lucky enough to actually see another one, to actually learn from that. But also, networking opportunities and meeting other like-minded professionals. And again, I can't say that enough. When you have a service, no one's gonna know about it if you don't get out there and talk about it. And
that's true.
not being shy to say, all right, if I know that I can deliver such services, and there is a need, again, partnering. Another big partnership was with the Junior League, and I actually got my first grant through them, because they served students who were aging out of foster care and they needed that basic skills.
Right.
So knowing what we provided at PS Youth, I was able to partner with them, and then through that, getting a contract with Community Foundation of Broward County. So, but it takes a community. It takes
a A village.
A village. It really does. And that's one of the slogans that we have on our website. It takes
Okay.
a village.
So you were doing this while you were raising kids at the same time?
Oh, yes, yes.
So
yes.
tell us about that navigation of raising young kids and being able to still build a business because you're an entrepreneur at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, I tell you, a big part of even starting PS Youth was knowing what it took to be a parent and actually be successful, being an example to my kids. They saw me with birth PS Youth. Because I have right now 2 grown men. They're 29 and 25, and then I started
don't even
all
look
over.
like
I
them.
know.
I was about
I
to say,
like
wait,
to
hold
remind
on,
myself.
hold on. No, seriously, you have a 29-year-old?
Yes, yes, yes. And my
She
daughter,
started at 5.
Clearly.
I was legal.
Yeah, she was
Clearly.
5, you know.
I was
She was
legal.
5.
And
Jeez, okay. 29-year-old, and they
29, 25, my
25.
2 young men, and then my princess Jasmine. She's I say Jasmine because Princess Jasmine. She's 15. So I started all over.
Oh, yes.
But no regrets, as I stated. They were raised pretty much in PS Youth. So after school, they'd come there. So whatever the other students received, my students received as well. And it was brilliant even to see my daughter when she was pre-kindergarten and she was helping some of the students to read because I practiced all that at home,
Right.
you know, teaching her and demonstrating, right? Because how can you teach somebody if you really don't know it for yourself and you're not applying it?
Right.
So, but it helped me because, you know, there was some flexibility. Of course, when you're running your own show, you have to do everything. I was everything at that center. Yes, we had support, but when everybody else was gone and my ex and I would be at the center cleaning after hours and,
Right.
you know, weekends were never really
that
ours.
life.
There's a lot that goes into it, but it
Yes.
was worth it. You know, you want to make sure that the place is clean and, you know, you're prepared for the students that are coming in. So so it was a sacrifice, but it was worth it.
So tell us where you are now with that program.
Well, I did close the actual center in 2019, sort of like pre-COVID, almost like a vision there to close at that right time. However, after closing, we still provided tutoring, kind of meeting students where they were, because that was a part of the program that we had, was doing in-home tutoring and also at community centers. So we still provided that. But we do some life skills workshops, and one of my biggest ventures or initiatives over the years has been to do networking, kind of piggybacking on the mentor program, because so we would do networking with businesses and business leaders, and you know, to come together, and then also to ask them if they're willing to become mentors as well, especially if you know you're successful, you could teach the youth.
Right.
And just trying to get our community to work together, because again, back to with PS Youth, I couldn't have gotten where I did if it wasn't for the community, people
Right.
working together. On our block, my business block, most of the adults, they had children, and their children would come to the center as well. So, you know, community. I never had to pay for any type of advertisement. It was
Good.
all word of mouth and just people knowing and believing in the services.
Perfect.
So I have a question. What is one truth about life, faith, or purpose that you had to learn the hard way that you wish more people understood sooner?
Okay. Well, okay, obedience. And, you know, kind of going back to, you know, how God was showing me and telling me this was the opportune time to go ahead and venture because there was a need, there's a stated need. But I still was kind of fearful, you know. But I think in everything, and I learned then that as I'm going forward with a decision, especially if it's a decision that's so important, like, you know, you're giving up your stable job, your career for something that's uncertain. But if you give it to God, you surrender and you allow him to lead you. But that as he leads you, you have to be obedient. You have to move when he says move. And a lot of people are kind of like, oh, no, it's not the right time. And then they wait, they see all these signs. He shows you the signs, like, hello.
Yeah.
But you're still fearful. So my belief is, and my advice is to give it to God, believe. There may be some patience, but when he says to move, you move. And he will cover everything, all the bases.
And that's so true because you gave up a stable job while you were working on this behind the scenes, you also had to incorporate your ex-husband into this field as well, your kids into this field as well. That was a sacrifice for everybody, right?
Certainly.
For your dream. And to see it being prosperous and being able to be beneficial to other youths, that's a testimony all to itself.
Yes.
Is showing the strength of being able to follow wherever he leads you, even though he's leading you down paths that is uncertain.
Yes.
Right? It's unprofitable at the time.
Exactly.
Because had you not met that lady, you wouldn't have been profitable. Right? So you see, the obedience
Yes.
gives you
It's
the
the
clear
open door.
path.
Yes.
the
But you
clear
have
path.
to make that first step.
Yes.
Right?
And
You
walk
have
out.
to, right.
Yes.
In faith.
Exactly. So when you look back throughout the beginning of your career, like what advice would you give to a woman right now who's saying, hey, I know I'm hearing that I should stop or go forward in what I'm doing, right? And yet they don't have enough courage and enough faith to move forward. What advice would you give them?
Well, to be honest with you, one advice my mom gave me is to get your education. No one can take that away from you. So with that, I
Even
had,
with the same degree, first choice, bachelor?
yeah, first choice.
Okay.
Because if I didn't have that, then I couldn't have done that initial position with the Urban League of Broward County. There was a human services, right? So I had
Yeah.
to get in somehow. No regrets. And I would say I've worked at some, interesting,
Questionable
yeah.
places. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
But my advice to someone young and just entering the career field is to embrace the roles that seem challenging, because somehow you're going to use that in your latter years. And I've used every role that I've done, as minuscule as any might be. I've used something from it. I've taken something from it to build who I am today. But I really think that, again, back to being obedient and having a plan. Another advice my mom told me is to ensure that you write down what you have in mind, whatever mission, whatever goals, and as you achieve them, you
Make
check
the
them
vision
off,
clear,
make them
yes.
very clear, and then they'll manifest. If it's God
Absolutely.
ordained, right?
That's
If it's
right.
what God wants for you. So again, pray to God and ask Him for that guidance and the clarity. And but just don't give up. I mean, and again, if you take a role and it seems like, oh my gosh, these people. Trust me, you learn from that. If nothing else, what type
these
of leader
people.
not to be.
right. That
What type
part.
of leader, because you have to live it in order to know what you don't want and what you want, right?
Correct.
So, and again, some of the most difficult people that I've worked with, I've learned a lot from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I must say, especially women, because sometimes you get a label if you were.
I'm not going to touch that part in Women's Month. I'm not going to touch that part.
Listen, I'm not qualified to speak, so absolutely you're throwing it away.
But that we as women, we are very driven, and sometimes driven and passion can translate into an area where it may not be supportive as it should be. And so tell us, how do you support other women?
Oh gosh, I even if it's on Facebook, I see something and someone's doing something I believe aligns with me, then I share it. Again, back to the networking opportunities, we want to highlight just not only women, but I always seem to always give a certificate or award at these events, and a lot of times it's to women because we carry a lot. We carry I'm not minimizing
Yeah, I'm
the male
seeing where this is
role,
going. That's
but we
what I'm-
do carry a lot, especially for mothering and all the different roles that we have to carry at the same time, and still be expected to be diligent and self-assured, and sometimes you get judged for certain things, emotional, etc. But I really believe that, being a well-rounded woman is quite a task, and I think that it's something to be commended. So I always highlight women everywhere, and whether it's just again a kudos, a special kudos, a text, whatever, or on social media, or one of my events, as I stated, with a certificate or award.
That's amazing, and I want to touch on a topic that a lot of people. It's becoming a discussion, really. Some people think it's unimportant, but let's go back to you saying that if you see something on social media, you're going to share it. You're going to like it. You're going to comment on it. You said your business could not have gotten to where it was without the word of mouth. That's people sharing
Yes.
about your business, who you are. And nowadays, a lot of people feel as if they share it, you're going to take something away from them, their shine or anything like that. And again, I'm not qualified to talk on it because I'm a man. But women, I do have a sister and female friends. They just kind of share certain things that women a lot of times tend to hold back very easy support that they can give to one another.
Right.
And so speak on that a little more, because to some people, they feel like that Facebook share or post is not enough. But it actually is.
It
like
is,
I'm introducing you to everybody that's following me.
Yes.
You don't know them, they don't know you.
Exactly.
This is an introduction. So speak on that a little bit, of your viewpoint when it comes to that. Sharing on social media, supporting, liking, commenting, word of mouth.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
I'm very careful about endorsements myself. So, I have to believe in your mission. I have to align with you. But especially if I'm a friend of yours and I, again, believe in your craft, I'm going to share it. And even if we have similar, if it's a similar industry, there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
There's room at the top for everybody. And I think we're stronger together.
Absolutely.
As a contract,
Powerful.
as a grant maker with the state, one of the things that I always embraced was when I saw partnerships, because you're stronger together. You're showing that you have that system, right? So where you're checking everything and then you can handle whatever you're applying for. So I think just the same. If I have a sister friend who has a certain business and I know that she needs a little help, I'm going to share. It has to be credible, number
Of course.
one.
Of course.
Yeah,
We
you're
would
careful
hope.
about
But
that.
we wouldn't
Because
have
the
friends that
stamp
are
is
not
there.
credible.
Who do you take us as?
Exactly. So yeah, I believe, share. And I see people say sometimes, oh, we tend to share things like celebrities share and such. But when it comes to our friends,
Right.
people who we actually know, we're so hesitant. And why?
That's what I wanted you to
Yeah.
touch on. That's what I wanted you to touch on.
Let's help
because
each
it's a
other.
very big discussion.
Yes.
Friends not supporting friends.
Yes.
And the people who aren't sharing are like, oh, it's no big deal. I support you in real life.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm that friend that's like, no, put me on your Facebook, put me on your
Yes.
social media.
Yeah, because
You share everyone else.
right, because that's telling the message that we really are friends.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Not
Because if
behind
you're
closed
really not
doors.
friends, and you're telling your viewers and your followers that, hey, I validate this person.
course.
And that's what validation is
Yes.
by being able to
Yes.
share what you're doing, or even come into what you're doing and bring in a friend when you're doing
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
Too, because that's important as well.
Right.
To not just be an active participant, but actually to be a person who is showing up in real life
Of course.
to demonstrate their relationship and their responsibility to being your friend.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
the word friend
Yeah.
is an important word.
Yeah.
It can't just be associate.
Yeah.
It's
Affiliate,
a friend,
associate, yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So if you fall yourself into that category, you need to show up for me in whatever I'm doing. You don't have to be at every event,
Right.
Right.
But at
Right.
least be
But a
at
share.
some event.
Yeah,
Show
exactly.
some support.
Exactly.
So in light of showing support,
Ooh.
we have this amazing book right here written by Mrs. Paula Scott-Blackwood. We're going to share it.
We're gonna share it.
Wow.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I
going
heard
to-
it's a series, so tell
Yes.
us about
I was
it.
about to say, we're going to
series.
give you the platform
It's a
to
series.
talk about this book. Firstly, before you even talk about the book,
Okay.
where can they purchase this book?
Well, it's available on Amazon.
Okay, stop there. Amazon, everybody, Amazon. Search and buy now. Go ahead.
All right. So this book is my baby, Letter to My Teacher. I've had this vision for quite a while. I was a little delayed in it actually being birthed. But I've always said that my birthday, which is in January, I always try to do something monumental then. And I was again delaying, but I did take a career break, and I had the time. And it's just amazing how this came to life. I wrote the book about 4 years ago, again titled Letter to My Teacher. And the aim with the series is one of 7, and I want it to be sort of portraying different things that children might go through. And this one is a bit touchy. It's about child sexual abuse awareness. And
It's
April.
a heavy book. Wait,
yes,
let's
This is
settle.
very, very
Heavy.
heavy. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, some of these delicate topics that is hard to discuss.
Yeah.
But the book, I'm not gonna give a spoiler, but it really
Wow.
it encourages young children to speak to their teacher, and even if they cannot talk or don't have the courage to talk, writing. Growing up, writing was the best way for me to communicate as well. So it speaks about how this child actually communicates with her teacher to state something that was happening to her.
Wow.
And again, this happens more than we want to admit in our
Absolutely.
community.
Yeah.
In our communities, doesn't matter the country.
That's
It
right.
happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So what I'd love for this book to do is to start to encourage parents to talk to their children about this early enough, so they're proactive. So if should anyone pass their place, they know
Yeah.
exactly what to do. And also for the predators, for them to know that people are talking about this.
That's right.
Right.
So then there'll be a deterrence for them to think twice.
Absolutely.
So that's my aim with that. Again, it's a seven-part series,
Wow.
and the
Part-
first
I-
one,
I-
the first
I-
one
That's
is
heavy.
That's heavy.
I feel like I need to read it now. Jeez.
I feel like, wait, I
Whoa.
think this needs to get into the hands of every parent.
Literally.
Yeah, because I mean that is something that is really plaguing our community,
Yes.
especially right now. And it's a lot of people don't even know about this,
Right.
And
Yes.
there's sex trafficking that
Yes.
comes along with this,
Yes.
which is a prerequisite to that, and that is not talked about enough.
It's not.
It's not, except kids gets missing, and all of a sudden
Yes.
you think they run away, but
Right.
really they didn't run away.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what happened to
They were
them.
Exactly.
And
So-
so I applaud you for
Thank you.
having enough courage
I was about to say,
to really
very
write this
brave.
book
Yeah.
because it's a shunned taboo in our community,
Yes,
and
yes.
you're writing about
I'm sorry,
something.
it's a what?
It's a taboo.
Taboo.
shunned-
Okay,
a
shunned.
taboo?
I thought it was shunned
It's
taboo. That's a new word.
It's a shun taboo, right? So
Shunned
people
taboo.
are shunned when
Yeah.
they talk about
Yes.
it,
Okay.
and it's a taboo word.
Yes.
So it's two words merged together. Listen,
Wow.
you're learning stuff from me, okay?
I like
Just
it. I like it.
Be
I
encouraged
like
that
it.
we are
Everybody
formulating-
comment, shun taboo.
I just might borrow that.
How would one spell that?
It sounds like something else.
Shun taboo. Shun taboo.
Yes.
So we're going to actually, we'll link this in the description.
Appreciate that.
So that way everyone who's viewing can purchase this.
Yeah.
Because in all
Make
seriousness.
it a number one.
yeah,
Yes.
This is a very serious topic. And having a child being comfortable talking to someone.
Right.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes children, my mom had a school, right? And so a lot of times the kids would come and tell us
Yes.
the personal, dark, heavy topics.
Right.
And one of our main questions were always, well, did you talk to your mom? Did you talk to your father? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
So being able to speak to someone,
Yes.
this book is a must-have. Amazing.
Thank
Round of
you.
applause for you, because this is.
Thank you so much.
That's
She started out with something totally different and just end up.
But see,
here.
now listen, that's how God works.
Yes.
Because you may start in one area and he'll just shift you through your life and you'll always end up where you're supposed to be.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Plain
Miss-
an impact.
So,
Yes.
Miss Blackwood, tell us, do you enjoy this navigation process that God has taken you from A, B, C, D, E? You're
Listen.
I think you're at F right now. So tell me, and do you enjoy this navigation process?
Yes, 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 I do. And I mentioned briefly that I took a career break because I do work for the state, but I took a very intentional career break. And even doing that was it was scary at first, but I prayed about that too. And had it been probably 4 or 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. But God's blessed me. And,
Amen to
you know,
that.
exactly. Because again, when you need a break, you got to listen. And God tells you that he's going to take care of you, and he has taken care of me. I've accepted a new position. I can't really state what it is, but it has
nice.
definitely taken me.
New blessings coming along?
Yes, yes. So
Sounds
I'm
like a lot of
progressing.
zeros
I
on a
know.
check. I don't know. I don't
I'm
know.
progressing.
I
Bravery.
feel like we're all going to be blessed by her.
Amen. Wealthy friends. See, this is why you should support people.
Wealthy, healthy friends. Because
It's the States. I can't be that wealthy, but
Good point.
Yikes.
But it gives me the balance though, and it's amazing as well when you work with people too and they support your dream and your aspirations, and that's one thing I must say. Like, surround yourself with people who are going to help you to elevate and motivate you and pour into you, but also have something to offer them.
Right.
So I mentioned that because what I want to do with these books, I also want to give about at least 100 books. I want to donate to students children who would not be able to afford, whether it's foster homes and we're going to bring this global as well.
That's right.
So my husband does missions in Guyana. I've already situated at least 20 books that will donate to students there.
I guess we gotta talk after air.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's amazing. So as we get ready to close, right?
Yes.
This podcast is called Unsealed. And it's about uncovering deeper truths in your personal journey. So what is something about your leadership, your perspective, or your personal journey that people may not see on paper, but it has shaped who you are today?
Okay, well, believe it or not, when I first started into my venture in the public sector, I wouldn't say I was shy, but I lacked the
I see what
confidence.
you're doing there. I like that.
I lacked the confidence. So when it came to like speaking up and, my cause, probably would have hesitated. But as I said, with all the different aspects and experiences, failures as well, hits, misses, I've actually grown to become a confident woman, a confident leader, confident parent, wife. And I think I feel like I'm well-rounded, but there's still so much more to learn. So I'm always a learner. That's one thing. But my name actually means humble. And one of the things, like, it's never about me. I serve because I want to see the community better. And everything that I do, every role, I'm very selective about what I choose to do. So I always try to do something that is bigger than me. So that's me. My name means humble. And it also means small. I was smaller before God. But after having 3 kids, I'm not so bad. But
That's right. That's right.
Telling you.
But even though it means small, I think that, I have that presence as well, which I don't take for granted. So I'll use that light to help people. And that's what I expect to continue to do.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. We
Thank you.
really appreciate it. Again, please support the cause of this awesome woman to my left.
Thank you.
A wonderful story. Now she's pouring into the kids that are coming up. We have this product here, 1 of 7.
Yes.
1 of 7. So please stay locked in, plugged in. How can people find you on social media, website? Tell them.
Okay, well, my website is PS Youth Outreach. It's www.psyouth.org. P as in Paul, S as in Sam, YOUTH. I always have to say this.
That's right.
.org. And you could also find me on social media, Paula Scott-Blackwood. I'm on Instagram as well. So look me up. Let's follow each other. And let's just, help to build the community stronger. We're stronger together.
Share.
Become
share
a
her
friend.
post. Become a friend, right?
Yes.
Any final words, Miss LaToya?
So I just want to thank you for being here. I mean, I've learned a lot about everything that you do. I love the concept of the book. I love the concept of the series. I think this is going to bring so much value to individuals. And if you save one, you have saved 1,000.
I agree.
And that's all that really matters. So I
agree.
appreciate the effort that you have put into pouring into young people over the years, over the last 20 years.
Yes,
right?
we celebrate 20 years next year. So
Yes.
it's a
Wow.
milestone.
Well,
Yes.
early congratulations. Early congratulations.
Invite us to the party because
Yes,
she's going to be
I will.
networking.
We're gonna have
exactly.
a.
We're there. We're there.
Make sure we're
Let us
at the
know.
party, and we will be
Absolutely.
sharing and liking. the
Yes.
party as
Certainly.
well.
Speaking of sharing and liking, share, comment, like, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Again, thank you to my awesome host, LaToya, and our wonderful guest, Mrs. Blackwood. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Good night.